now it's time for today's Sector Dissector. Right, we were supposed to run a funky little title there, but it didn't appear. So let's just tell you what's happening in the sector today. France Telecom earlier posted first quarter earnings roughly in line with analysts' expectations. Meanwhile, there is continued talk of BT being split up by Ofcom, UK's telecoms regulator. Joining us now to look at the sector is NADAHL SHOCAIR, CEO at DTV, and James Crawshaw, telecom equipment analyst at Commerzbank. NADAHL, James, thanks very much indeed for joining us. James, just kick off with you first of all. It's interesting at the telecom sector, we're still getting huge growth in the mobile sector, and the fixed line operators under a great deal of pressure. Is that essentially trend that we've got for the next couple of years?
It's hard to see that far out. At the moment, the companies are prepared to give guidance, maybe towards the end of the year. The trends from the reporting of companies like Ericsson and Nokia and Lucent all suggest that the mobile market, certainly the demand for infrastructure, is still very, very strong, although that may start to wane a bit in the latter half of the year. DSL or broadband is an area of great strength. We've had good numbers out of the US, a lot of new subscribers to DSL. That's good for companies like Alcatel. But at this stage, no company is really prepared to give a forecast beyond the end of this year.
You're still seeing Nokia's share of the mobile phone market decline to the lowest in about 3 years, so lots of competition coming through there. Where is this company going to go in the next couple of years, though?
Yeah, million-dollar question. Clearly, there's been a big disappointment in the first quarter. A lot of their phones that they were hoping to sell in the month of March didn't. There's increased competition coming from the Japanese, the Koreans, and even Motorola's managed to get its act together. It's really a case of them launching lots of new models, and so far they haven't really come out with any great new phones since the profit warning. It's also a case of them cutting their prices in order to be more aggressive, attract some of those consumers who have been looking at shinier phones elsewhere.
NADAHL, let's bring you in, because your company is quite an interesting one on DTV, because you're a manufacturer of telecommunications, you're a distributor and a reseller.
Yes.
Which gives you a pretty unique perspective, doesn't it, on what is happening with telecoms?
It does, absolutely. I mean, we are uniquely placed to look at it from a different point of view, so to speak. I want to build on the DSL part, the broadband connections. I mean, it took 3.5 years to go from 100,000 to 1 million subscribers to about 2,000. And it's taken 3.5 years to go from 1 million to 104 million at the end of the quarter of 2003. And it's projected to go up to about 400 million in 2007. My expectation, probably 500 million. Now, if you can imagine, every single broadband connection could probably connect a minimum of probably 3 to 5 people. Maybe he can help me with that. But we are talking about 1.5 billion people connected to broadband probably by 2007, so it's an interesting driver.
I suppose what investors want to know is who are the companies that are going to benefit from the rollout of broadband? Is it actually going to be the likes of BT, or is it going to be people who put the services on there? Who is actually going to be the winners on this?
Very elastic question. There are a lot of different providers out there today that are actually a threat to traditional carriers. I'll give you an example, one being Skype, if you've heard of them. They started by the same people that started the Kazakh craze, the peer-to-peer music download company. I was just looking at their website before I came on, and I noticed that they started about 7 months ago, and they have about 11 million subscribers already, and this is free peer-to-peer telephony over broadband. So I would see that as a threat. Certainly the industry is changing, and those are the people that will probably end up changing it.
So James, what kind of future are we looking at here? Because I'm sure NADAHL have views on. We've got voice over internet protocol. We've got WiMAX, better versions of that. Are we actually just at the beginning of a brave new world?
No, I think it's a constant evolution of telecoms technology that's been happening for the last 100 years and will continue going forwards. And really the beneficiary at each stage is the consumer. The prices for telephone services come down all the time. At different points in time, one manufacturer might have an advantage because they've cornered the market in one niche technology, but ultimately other people catch up. And at the end of the day, the biggest beneficiary is always, as I say, the consumer.
Chatting with Kevin Gardner earlier, I think it was last week, from HSBC, and he was saying for 2004 as a story, the telecom sector is going to be huge. He said people have sort of written it off as a boring utility, but it's set for some action this year. Would you agree with that? What kind of action are you looking for?
Yeah, I don't offer, I don't follow the telecom services operators myself. I have colleague analysts who cover that sector. They're quite bullish on some stocks. Valuations there are fairly undemanding. You've got earnings multiples below 10, and potentially that sector could come back into vogue if there's a bit of a rotation out of some higher beta, riskier sectors like the sector that I follow, telecom equipment.
NADAHL, let's talk about WiMAX. What's the potential here?
Well, I mean, WiMAX is a standard that moves the sort of Wi-Fi from a hot spot to a hot zone. It is designed for multi-access with hundreds or maybe thousands of users versus tens of users with Wi-Fi. And it's, as I understand it, it's backward compatible to Wi-Fi devices. So in essence, to put it in simple English, they put a mast somewhere in a city or in a town, and people within several kilometers are able to access the broadband network. I think voice over wireless LAN, whether it be voice over Wi-Fi or voice over WiMAX, I would say is going to be a disruptive technology for the carriers, in my opinion.
Great to have you on, NADAHL SHOCAIR, CEO of DataV, and James, thank you as well. James Corshaw, telecom equipment analyst.